Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So just taking a look, seeing what options we have. This is our most profitable per kilometer, or our most revenue per kilometer. It's a bit of a heavy load. It's going to take us back through Lisbon, take us over to Avora. I'm trying to kind of find a reason not to take it, and there really isn't one. The nice thing is, it is at where I just dropped off. So that is also a plus. So I am going to go ahead and do this one with the canned sardines. We probably will have to rest during this run. As always, my one ask of folks who join and follow along, first off, thank you immensely for spending some of your time here at the channel, trying to take a look at what I've got to offer. Just straightforward simming, just doing different things here and there. Tend to focus on a few things pretty heavily, as I'm sure you've seen. But, you know, I try to mix it up here and there where I can, where time allows. So hopefully something for everyone here in just, you know, a little bit more calm, you know, quiet format. I don't get too excited. I'm not going to be screaming, you know, unless something crazy happens. But, you know, I don't just do it for effect, like I think a lot of folks do, to try to make things interesting and so forth. I just drive and share what's going through my head. So let's go here. We've got 381, so it's a little bit of a length. All right, so again, we'll be picking up here. So we just need to get over there and pick our load and see. Again, it's a multiple trailer, so I'm not sure if I see one. I don't see it obviously around, but it is here. So there it is. We're going to take the job. And looks like we need to go around the corner and pick it up there. So not incorrect that I could not see it in the yard right now. But I do like when I have jobs like this. You know, I think this would absolutely be what a dispatcher would normally do and try to get set up for any of the drivers. You know, and if the driver's operating themselves, like in theory I am, but, you know, it doesn't mean I don't have a dispatcher back at the office looking for loads for me. But if they can find a load where, hey, I dropped one off and I go around to the other side of the building and pick another one up, that is extremely, extremely beneficial, because then I'm getting paid as much as possible. I mean, it took me literally, what time, you know, a minute, maybe 2 minutes to get over here, and we're now ready to go. So 381 just reset. So got 0 kilometers down there. I do enjoy sometimes hauling these. We do know in this case it's going to make it a really easy drop off as well, because you can't really back these into things. So I assume when they are preparing these, they basically back up the first trailer and then back up the second trailer and then attach them as they're sitting there, and that is kind of how they handle it when they're loading. You know, and they probably load the front trailer at a different dock and then move it over. I think it said turn left, but let me just double check. Yes, okay. So, and obviously, you know, it makes sense. We're heading back out. So we're going to be backtracking basically what we did last time. But yes, it's a matter of oh, we discovered a truck. I didn't even realize there was something there to discover. So that's nice.
Finding a new route.
What? I see. I'm kind of going the long way around.
To turn left.
I really thought that was the only way I could go, honestly. I was too distracted by having discovered the man dealer that I didn't realize. No, I can't make that turn. Go. I don't know what kind of car that is. I'm not as familiar with the European brands. Go. Oh my lord. Now there's someone behind you, so I don't have much of a choice, but... because if you pull away, they'll just go anyway. Alright, I think we're okay. Again, I'm also trying 2 weeks to get through 2 weeks in game time without having any kind of an incident. And that has been something I've been trying for years and haven't been able to do. So I try to be a very careful driver, and then they do stuff like that to me.
Exit now.
And honestly, that's probably part of the reason it's such a difficult achievement, is the AI is so hard to pin down and make sure it's doing the right thing that you just end up having problems. So, alright.
At the roundabout, take the third exit.
We will not need any fuel. So that's 1.
Keep right.
2 I can't take anyway. And 3 then gets us going where I think we're gonna end up on
Exit now.
the freeway here. So we will get going. We'll get our signal on so people know that we're merging. Although I don't know what else they'd think we'd be doing coming down this ramp, but you know, following the rules of the road. Oh, they had some graffiti up on the bottom of that bridge. I think it said Otara. I caught it for a split second, so I may be entirely wrong. Whoops. So I think we're turning right here, is what it's telling me. So let's swing out a little bit since we have room. Kind of keep an eye on the mirror. Alright, some new construction over here in Porto. It's always good to see cities growing. Especially if you do in the line of work I'm in. Oh, look at that, SCS on the wall. So, if you're unfamiliar, if you're not a major follower of Truck Simulation, SCS is the developer of both Euro Truck and American Truck Simulator. So, a little bit, I get, you know, would it be an Easter egg? I don't know. Maybe they had a kind of a post or an announcement about that. Just that, hey, keep an eye out for things. We put things around our maps all the time. So, a lot of them you kind of need to know the area, so I'm certainly at a disadvantage here in Euro Truck because I have very little familiarity other than certain areas. Like I did spend several weeks working in Berlin at one point, but outside of that, I have not had the pleasure of spending much time in Europe. I intend to do that at some point just for leisure if I can. You know, obviously finances have to allow, but
and then exit right.
World conditions do as well, and I wouldn't have normally even been concerned about that, but lately we're not exactly making a bunch of friends.
Exit
So
right.
Hopefully things will still stay in good relations, and it'll be just as easy as always, and it'll just really be more of a money thing. We should have time. I'm hoping, you know, to retire earlier than full retirement age here in the U.S. is a goal I've been striving for decades, and it appears in reach, appears to be on track, but you know, sometimes things can get derailed, so we will pray that does not happen. But if all that works out, you know, time will not be a factor. You know, so if we want to go for a month or 2 months or something, like, it won't be like, ooh, I'm going to have to ask my job for all that time off. We just need enough funds to be able to do things and be away from home that long and so forth. So we shall see. And I've heard Portugal is beautiful. So definitely, whoops, keep left. Need to listen to her. Alright, so if we see a place to rest, we are at that point. Once they start yawning, usually a couple hours is all we get, so probably 19:30 is probably as far as we're going to be able to push this. So my hope is something's along the way that I don't have to exit, spend a lot of time to go rest. Not sure if this is already giving me, like, no, that's just a mileage sign. Thought it looked like 2 vehicles or something, so I'm like, oh, maybe it's already an announcement. Oh, but there is something right there. So how nice. 20 or 30 minutes after we start getting tired. It will probably mean we're taking off in the early morning hours, because I think we rest for 10 hours is how it works on this side. I don't need any fuel, so I'm not going to incur that expense, because again,
Okay, let's find a new route.
that's important for you know, Euro truck stuff, or real economy stuff. Yeah, this is, I don't like these rest spots because they tend to be really finicky in the trigger zones. So I'm gonna go, I think, to the far ones so that I have enough room, and hopefully, come on, come on. This is what I don't like. So now we're gonna have to play some games, and I don't know that it's gonna trigger things. Oh, come on. Alright, so I am going to disconnect, because if I don't,
Here we go.
I'm just going to get myself into trouble. But I need to find the trigger point to rest. There we go. Okay. So we'll rest, and then we'll reconnect up, and we'll leave. Some of the quirks, you know, that we have with the trucking simulators, like, you know, if they haven't designed a trigger at a certain point, you know, unless you're driving the same route over and over, which obviously is a little bit dull. I get it's the reality of what is happening in most. Oh, it's not. I can't pull forward any further, which is not good, because that is making it difficult for me to connect up here. Oh boy. Really? It shouldn't be that hard. So let's see if we can... There we go. Whew. I'm like, if I can't attach, this will become very difficult. But we're okay. I think we're clear of everything. Alright. We have headlights on. That's a big thing too. Sometimes the game will shut them off, usually only after a really large update. And we haven't been updating this one because we want to keep using Pro mods. But, you know, and so I haven't bought the DLC, the Greek DLC yet, because there really wasn't a point. But I think we may be at that point now that I can consider it, so I need to do a little bit of research. But I think finally the newest version of Pro Mods does integrate the Greek DLC. So, and of course, you know what will happen. It'll be just in time that Nordic Horizons releases, and then we'll be basically locked in place again for a year or two or something until Pro Mods updates again. But we'll see. But yeah, I learned my lesson last time that I think it took 9 months for them to incorporate the Balkans, and I had kind of just been not playing because I was like, oh well, I don't want to eliminate the maps, And so I made the decision this time, like, no, I'll just basically stick with the versions that I have when they suddenly change, and then wait until they have a working version. And it's probably been about that time since Greece has come out, and so kind of makes sense. But it looks like sometime in April they were able to do that and finally get that fully integrated, and I just had not seen it for a few weeks, so I've got to go ahead and download Pro Mods and then update and then, you know, buy the Greek DLC, and then we'll maybe get there when we get there. I mean, I'm kind of enjoying where I'm at, but if I buy the DLC, I'll certainly swing on over just to allow us to see what SCS has. It's just one of the things you will find if you've never used Pro Mods, or, you know, if you're a player and you do, I'm sure you'll agree, the quality of what people have done is just so incredibly thorough compared to what we have in the maps in the US that are done as third-party maps that you have a hard time knowing, like, when you're somewhere that isn't original content, you know, that isn't part of the DLC. I mean, because yes, the Iberian Peninsula is the DLC, like, so that is part of what we're here, but how much of this road network is stock and how much is enhanced by Pro Mods, I don't know. But one of the things I learned very early on was people were like, yeah, like, Pro Mods is great, and like, once you drive with Pro Mods, you're never going to want to drive without it, and that's certainly where I'm at, so. Alright, so another spot would be available if we had needed it, but I think it would have been a bit to get here, because yeah, this is 140 kilometers. We might have been able to push it, but problem is, I don't know. In the US, you can kind of count on rest areas or truck stops relatively frequently, but in Europe, at least on these maps, that seems to be much less. I've run into issues where I'm falling asleep or getting penalized in Euro Truck far more often than happens to me in American Truck Simulator. So, like, I can usually assume, like, if I start the sleep thing and I'm by a rest area, like, that, yes, I will find another one before I run out of time, but I can't make that assumption here in Euro Truck, because it doesn't always work that way. And some of that, I'm sure, is, again, a little bit of more in a Pro Mods section where, you know, maybe they're not as careful, but I can't say in the SCX sections that I know that they do cover it as well. You know, and the mix that goes into it is obviously if, like, there's a lot of cities or something that SCS added in Portugal, perhaps, you know, if I'm suddenly driving a more meandering route, then, you know, I'm going to have less opportunity to make things that I would have made on base map. But I certainly do not regret using Pro Mods. I've seen nothing but wonderful scenery everywhere, and so that combination together gives you a lot of places to go, a lot of roads to navigate, but you know, it creates a little bit of the thing you need to worry about. So there's always a little trade-off, just like anything in life. There's pros and cons to everything, and you know, that's kind of the pros and cons of map add-ons in either of these packages, honestly. It was interesting. It cost me 50 euros because I did just run the last run just before this. It is not uncommon for me to do, if I have time, to do at least 2 runs, and that's probably all I will do this time, but do them in one sitting because, you know, I try to keep the episodes between 30 and 60 minutes, so, you know, at most we'd be looking at 2 hours, but I, you know, usually end up closer to the 30, just because it's more enjoyable, I think, for everyone, myself doing it, and and you watching it. So, you know, it's an hour of investment. Alright, just making sure, because that is the hiccup with Pro Mods sometimes, is the GPS doesn't work quite right, and suddenly you miss an exit and you're getting a rerouting when it's too late to react to it because you've passed it. And obviously it's not going to tell you that ahead of time because it's assuming you're following the proper track.
Keep left.
So back to Lisbon with the graffiti on the overpasses. Oh, and the glass. I'm assuming that's legitimately how things exist. Oh, I think I vaguely remember coming in and wondering if this was like an old aqueduct or not. But again, as a reminder, we had about 381, so we're at 227. So still got about 160 kilometers to go. But obviously early morning. We should be there before lunchtime. But yeah, it'll be interesting because I do think this is a town I've not been to, which is not that hard to do. There's hundreds of towns probably that I've not been to. But obviously for now, we're going back a way we had come before. So I assume we're going to go across the bridge here, and then and only then maybe will we go off, because I think we do need to then head east to get to the town we're ultimately delivering to here. But yeah, coming up on 250 kilometers already. So kilometers go quick. Not that miles don't go pretty quick in American Truck Simulator either, but obviously kilometers are smaller segments of distance, so. Yeah, I know I had commented the other way because I was just doing San Francisco in American Truck Simulator. This is the same kind of color, a little bit of the same feel and vibe as the Golden Gate out in San Francisco. But obviously we're here in near Lisbon in Portugal, so. Alright, so no toll booths going this way, in this same location. Again, where I'm from in the U.S., and am more used to, yes, they usually have toll booths on both sides at the same time. So it's nice to see that they did that, but it is something that is out of what I'm used to, so it catches my attention as a surprise because it's not what I expect. Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe it'll just be the last 40 or 50 kilometers where we finally break off. Some high-tension power lines. We've got what looks like an electric railway over to the left of us. Not that I've been keeping a keen eye up there, but I don't know if they model any trains going by at any point or whatever. They may not, because that's obviously just more work for something that may not really get noticed. Okay, Avora, I believe, is where we're going. It's still staying straight ahead. So with that, I'm going to move over to the left because I do feel like I'm catching this van. Is that an Iveco? I don't know. Again, I don't know any brand. I know that's a truck brand, but doesn't mean it's a van brand. No, that's just a plate. So I can't tell at all what what type that is. Alright, well, now we're at 300 kilometers, so it's obviously less than 60. So, yeah, just a nice standard drive. Not a whole lot of things to comment about, it seems. So sometimes I feel the need to apologize for not being as, or not talking as much and keeping things filled, but I'm sure there are just as many people that like just watching and not listening to me talk all the time as those who would prefer that I find something to speak on. Alright, so start of the toll road, interesting. Alright.
Keep right, and then exit right.
Okay, yep, Evora. But we are now at 323, as you can see. I didn't intentionally mean to lean forward, but then when I did, I'm like, alright, well, we'll get a nice clear view of the odometer. So, and it did have some weight. It did have the heavy symbol, so yes, even going up an exit ramp, we're struggling a bit here, because this is a pretty bargain basement truck at this point. Doesn't have a lot of features and certainly doesn't have a really strong engine. We just got something we could afford so that we weren't simply totally working for others all the time, that we at least became an owner-operator, so taking out our loan. We didn't want to overspend, especially when at the time when I picked the truck up, I still didn't know if I had a profitable company on my hands or not. I just knew I had cash in the bank because I had borrowed. Now it'll probably be a tiny bit longer than the 380 because obviously I took a little bit of a detour through town in Porto when we left. Alright, you pull over and take off, please. Thank you. Alright, I guess it would logically be that we exit here.
Keep right.
Okay.
And then exit right.
I'm like, this is the only one saying Evora, so I'm a little worried, but okay, we're good.
Exit right.
Alright, head over here, so again, I don't have to stop. Alright, 15 euros. Not fast enough to re-engage the cruise control. There we go. Now we can. Just making sure nobody's sneaking up or flying up on my right. But we can see our delivery point. So yes, well before noon, hopefully before 9 a.m. And obviously next time we will see how we do. There may be some gaps in things here and there. We're getting ready to move. I think I've shared that plenty of times, but you know, again, we probably have new viewers all the time. So just real life preparations, things like that. So I try to do these a little over a week apart. It's kind of on a schedule of every 8 days. You'll see a trucking run every 4 days. I know I just missed the sequence of that, which is kind of why it's top of mind for me to bring it up, because it's likely going to happen again over the next month or two as we're on the, you know, leaving end here and then the arriving end there, and then obviously having to get things unpacked and whatever. You know, there's obviously going to be time I would have had without moving in our life that I'm not going to have. because we are moving. So, but rest assured there will be more trucking videos at some point all the time. It's just sometimes there may be a bigger gap than we'd prefer.
Turn left.
But certainly these two, like, that's partially why I do them together, because then I can get myself ahead of schedule a little bit and have something where basically I have 16 days to try to do another run in, and usually that works, but sometimes it does not.
Get ready to turn left.
Alright, so again, I'm assuming
Turn left.
it's just
and
going to
then
be a
turn
pull-in, and you can see we're at, I think, 389. So
Turn right.
we didn't add a lot, but we did add some. Now where? Okay, I see where we're at. I'm just trying to align myself as I come through the gate so that I have the best chance of success. So I think we'll be in good shape. But yeah, we are at, I can't see with the words, and it's probably not going to go away. So I think it's 389. If not, oh well. But they're just going to have us obviously leave the load here at the side of the building. There we go. Let's disconnect, and we have completed this run. So let's see what our results are. Super easy parking, obviously just a 30 for the maneuvering bonus. So 495 XP, a little over €1,000, but again, we probably spent 100 of that at least in tolls. Alright, profit went back down. We were at negative 5,600. We're at now negative 6,800. So I'm wondering if I had one of my drivers unable to find a job on the way back. So this is the reality we run into, is, you know, we've got to drive when we can drive, because we can't always stay fully profitable in a span, and we obviously don't want to be losing money. But we've done our part. We took a bit, you know, a longer job, a little bit more lucrative job. There are times I'm only getting 200 or 300 euros, so getting 1,000 is definitely nice. So I hope you've enjoyed yourself, and I will see you next time.